Yo, fam, if you're watching this right now, it's because you know something big is going down with the Commanders. And I'm not talking about soft rumors or cheap clickbait. Nah, I'm talking about real moves that could flip the entire script for this team heading into 2026. Breece Hall on the radar, Brandon Aiyuk officially free after the Niners meltdown, and Quan Martin on the trade table. Bro, this is wild. Listen, after how last season ended, we all know Adam Peters and the staff gotta play this smart. We can't afford another mediocre year. We need real upgrades, not Band-Aids. And the three stories I'm breaking down today? They're exactly that. Real possibilities, risky, exciting. And they could define whether we're finally serious or just the same old team. So get comfy. Because this one's deep, technical, emotional, and coming at you full force. We're going to break down every move, every implication, and every possible scenario. This ain't just off-season talk, fam. This is the future of the Commanders taking shape right now. Let's start with the bombshell. Breece Hall, running back from the Jets, 25 years old, over 1,000 yards this season, legit dual threat. And according to ESPN and Gridiron Heroics, Washington is being projected as one of the most likely landing spots for him in free agency. And before you hit me with the another expensive RB line, let me break down why this actually makes total sense from every angle. First off, we finished last season ranked 23rd in run offense DVOA. That's bad, fam. Jacory Krosky Merritt didn't pop like we hoped. Chris Rodriguez Jr. had flashes but no consistency. And Brian Robinson? He's gone traded to San Francisco. We literally don't have a reliable workhorse back. And in a league where controlling the clock, protecting your young QB, and keeping your defense fresh is key, not having a ground game is strategic. Suicide. Breece Hall isn't a project. He's a proven back at the highest level. He ran for over 1,000 yards this year behind a Jets O-line that, let's be real, ain't elite. He had to create yardage on his own constantly. He's got elite vision, patience to let blocks develop, burst in the second level, and most importantly for today's offense, he's a legit receiver out of the backfield. He can line up in the slot, run complex routes, and be a reliable safety. Val for Jaden Daniels on third downs. That's exactly what we need to round out this offense. Now let's talk scheme fit because this is where it gets juicy. Our O-line, when healthy, can generate real push in both inside and outside zone. Sam Cosmi, Tyler Biadasz, Brandon Coleman. We've got guys who can move people at the line of scrimmage. With David Blau stepping in as OC, you can bet he'll want to balance the attack, especially after how predictable we were under Cliff Kingsbury. Having Hall lets you run traditional gap schemes, zone reads with Jaden using his legs, and deep play action because defenses have to bring an extra safety into the box. That opens up everything. Terry McLaurin on go routes with single coverage Deebo Samuel, if he's back, killing it on crossers and slants. And Jaden with a clean pocket to make full reads. That's a complete and balanced defense. But here's the tough part we gotta talk about honestly. The money. Hall's gonna want a top-tier RB contract in this market. We're talking $12 to $14 million per year with big guarantees in the first 2 years. And yeah, we've got cap space. We're 5th in the league right now, but we've also got huge holes at safety, edge rusher, cornerback, and probably need to beef up the interior D-line too. Do we really want to drop that kind of cash on a running back when the position gets devalued more every year? This is where Adam Peters' philosophy comes in. He saw firsthand how Christian McCaffrey completely transformed the Niners' offense. He saw how having an elite back makes you unpredictable on any down, lets you control tempo, and puts your QB in favorable situations. And Jaden Daniels, as talented as he is and as many flashes as he's shown, is still developing. He's a second-year QB. He needs help. He needs a ground game that keeps him from having to play hero ball every drive, that shortens the field with consistent conversions, that gives him third and short instead of third and long where defenses can just tee off dots. So yeah, Is it risky to invest that much in a RB? Absolutely. Is it expensive in a market where you could spend that money elsewhere? Also true. But does it make football sense for OUR team in OUR current situation? 100%, bro. If they structure the deal smart with incentives tied to total yards, touchdowns, and games played to protect against injury, they can limit the short-term financial risk while giving Hall the upside he wants. And if Hall stays healthy and produces like we know he can with decent blocking, bro, this changes everything. Think about it. How many games did we lose last season because we couldn't convert a 3rd and 2? How many times did we abandon the run game by the second quarter because we were too predictable? How many times did Jaden have to force throws on 3rd and long because we had no balance? Hall fixes a LL of that. He's not just an individual upgrade. He's a systemic upgrade that makes the whole offense better. And here's the other factor nobody's talking about: Jaden's development. Having a reliable run game doesn't just help him on the field, it helps his learning process. He sees more pre-snap coverages when defenses have to respect the run. He gets simpler reads off play action. He builds timing with his receivers when he's got a clean pocket. That's priceless for a young QB. Now what about the Jets? They lose their best back, their most consistent offensive piece, and probably don't have a clear backup plan. But honestly, after how they handled everything this year, the Aaron Rodgers drama, coaching changes, lack of direction, I wouldn't be shocked if Hall wants out. And for us, it's the perfect opportunity. A young back in his absolute physical prime, with a chip on his shoulder after wasting years on a bad team, ready to prove he can be the guy on a team that's serious about competing. Listen, I know some fans will say, don't spend on RB, draft one in the mid-rounds. And I totally get that from a value perspective. But this year's RB draft class doesn't have a clear Bijan Robinson or Jamia Gibbs in round 1. And if we want to compete now in 2026, we can't wait for a 3rd-round rookie to develop over 2 years. Breece Hall is plug and play. Day 1, week 1, he's your unquestioned starter. And that, fam, is exactly what we need at this stage of the rebuild. So yeah, this will be the biggest splash of the offseason for the Commanders. And honestly, I think Adam Peters is seriously considering it. Because if we want Jaden Daniels to take that year 2 leap, if we want this offense to be top 10 in the league, and if we want to stop relying only on the passing game like we did under Kingsbury, we need a back like Breece Hall. Bro, just imagine Hall breaking off a 60-yarder in prime time against Dallas on Thanksgiving. I'm already hyped just thinking about it, man. All right, bro. This one hit a little different when I first saw it. Quan Martin, our safety drafted in the 2nd round back in 2023, is now being floated as a trade candidate, according to Pro Football Focus. And this ain't some random Twitter rumor, fam. There are real reasons and hard numbers behind this speculation. Let's start with the cold facts, because we gotta be honest about what went down this season. Martin finished the year with an overall grade of 57.8 per PFF, and his coverage grade, just 38.6. That's rough, bro. Real rough for a safety who's supposed to be entering their prime. He allowed the highest passer rating when targeted among all qualified safeties in the league. Brutal 151.8, and he gave up 468 yards in coverage. Those are liability numbers, not starter numbers on a team trying to make the playoffs. And here's the bigger picture that makes this even more concerning. Our secondary as a unit ranked 31st in coverage grade across the entire league. 31, fam. That's second to last. You can't seriously compete for a playoff spot with a secondary that falls apart every time a competent QB looks over the middle or attacks the deep third. And if Quan Martin is a big part of that structural problem, then Adam Peters has to make tough calls, even if they hurt. Now, is it totally fair to put all the blame on Martin? No, definitely not. He's still young, only 25, and he showed legit flashes in certain areas, especially in run support near the line. But here's the dilemma the front office is facing. He's got 1 year left on his rookie deal. After the 2026 season, he's an unrestricted free agent. So Peters basically has two options: extend him now and hope he improves under a new DC, or trade him before he walks for nothing and at least get some draft value in return. And if you look at what Peters did with Brian Robinson Jr. trading him to San Francisco during training camp before his value tanked, it makes logical sense he might apply the same front office philosophy here. Better to get a 4th or 5th round pick now than let him walk for nothing after 20-6. But here's my personal take after thinking this through, bro. I think trading him right now would be a big mistake. Why? Because our secondary doesn't just have individual talent issues. It has systemic problems with continuity and development. We've rotated defensive coordinators like socks. We've flipped between 4-3 and 3-4 schemes. We've moved players around constantly. Martin has never had real stability, consistent coaching, or a defined system to fully develop as a pro. And if we bring in a new DC who actually understands his strengths, maybe puts him closer to the line in a box safety role focused on run support and covering tight ends instead of deep coverage against burners, he could absolutely break out and become the guy we thought we were drafting. He's got the frame. He's got the mindset. He just needs the right system. Also, fam, and this is critical, who exactly replaces him if we trade him? According to the PFF article, we could target Kevin Byard or Darius Washington in free agency. Byard's a solid vet with a proven track record, but he's already 31 and clearly declining physically. Do we really want to drop serious money on a safety past his prime? Washington is younger and intriguing, but he's not a proven game changer either. So are we really upgrading the roster by trading Martin for an old vet or another young project? I'm not convinced. Now, if Peters can get a 3rd-round pick or better in a trade and has a clear, concrete plan to replace him with a real upgrade either through free agency or by using that pick to move up in the draft, okay, I get it from an asset management perspective. But if it's just about cleaning house or cutting losses without a solid replacement plan, then we're making the same organizational mistake we've made for years. Moving just to move, reacting instead of being proactive. No real direction or long-term vision. And here's the other factor nobody's talking about, but it's huge. Locker room culture. Martin, from everything we know publicly and from beat writers, is a total pro. No drama, works hard in practice. Good teammate, young with growth potential. Do we really want to send the message to the rest of the roster that after just 2 years, we're giving up on you if you don't produce immediately? That doesn't build trust in the locker room. Bro, that creates insecurity and counterproductive pressure on young players. So my final take after looking at all sides: give him one more season under a new system. Bring in a DC who understands his strengths and puts him in a position to succeed. Surround him with better talent in the secondary so he's not constantly exposed. If by 2026 he's still a clear liability after all that, fine, let him walk in free agency with no regrets. But trading him now, without giving him a real shot with stability and proper coaching, feels premature and like a mistake. We'll regret. And honestly, fam, if we trade him and he blows up on another team with better coaching, we're going to look absolutely ridiculous again, just like we have so many times in this franchise's history. Fam, this one is juicy and has layers on layers. Brandon Aiyuk, former star receiver for the Niners, is officially done in San Francisco, and it wasn't a clean, professional breakup. Nah, it was a full-on public drama that nobody saw coming. Let me paint the full picture because the context matters. Aiyuk signed a big extension with the Niners not long ago. It looked like everything was locked in, that he'd be a key piece of their offense for years. But after a serious knee injury that kept him out all of 2024, things got weird fast. The Niners put him on the PUP list to start 2025, which made sense if he was still recovering. But in December, they moved him to the reserve left squad list, making him completely ineligible for the rest of the year. That's extremely rare, fam, and a sign of major issues. Then after the season, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch went public in a press conference. They specifically mentioned lack of communication and unfortunate and confusing actions from Aiyuk. The Niners even voided a huge chunk of his guaranteed money for 2026. Bro, that doesn't happen over something minor. That takes serious contract violations or major behavioral issues. Clearly, there were massive problems behind the scenes that the organization wasn't willing to tolerate. So now Aiyuk is in absolute limbo. The Niners will probably just cut him outright because his trade value is toast. And this is where Washington enters the chat in a fascinating way. Why does this make sense for us? 3 magic words. Jayden Daniels reunion. Aiyuk and Jayden played together at Arizona State. They've got real chemistry from college. They know each other personally. They can read each other on the field, and there's a built-in relationship. And if there's anyone in the NFL who can fix Aiyuk, get him to buy into the culture, reset his mindset, and bring him back to elite form, it's Jayden Daniels. That personal connection could be the difference between success and disaster in this gamble. Now let's talk pure football fit, because the numbers don't lie. Our WR room right now is Terry McLaurin. Maybe Deebo Samuel if he comes back, and who else? We don't have a reliable established WR2. We don't have real depth. Aiyuk, when healthy and locked in, is a legit elite receiver. He can run the full route tree with precision, win contested catches with his frame, and be a nightmare mismatch in the slot against linebackers or safeties. That gives Jayden real options in the passing game and makes our offense unpredictable for defenses that currently key in too much on Terry. Imagine this lineup for a second. Terry outside as the X, Aiyuk in the slot, Deebo as the Z, and Breece Hall, if we sign him, out of the backfield. That's 4 legit threats that no defense can cover all at once with base personnel. You'd have to go nickel or dime, which opens up the run game completely. It's a nightmare for defensive coordinators. But here's the huge risk we can't ignore, fam. Aiyuk clearly has serious attitude, communication, or professionalism issues. The Niners, one of the most well-run, culture-strong organizations in the league, cut him publicly. That's not nothing. That's a red flag the size of FedEx Field. So, do we really want to bring someone with that kind of baggage into a young locker room we're trying to build the right way? My honest opinion after weighing everything. Why yes, but only under strict, non-negotiable conditions. First and foremost, he has to pass a full, thorough medical exam. That knee has to be certified 100% by multiple independent doctors. We can't risk money on someone who's not physically ready. Second, he needs to sit down face-to-face with the full coaching staff, with Jayden personally, probably with Adam Peters too, and publicly commit to buying into the culture, no excuses. No drama, no miscommunication, no bad vibes. If he can't make that genuine commitment, then we pass and look for safer options. But if he can do those things, if he passes the medical and convinces the staff he's mentally ready, bro, imagine the upside. Terry McLaurin on one side running verticals, Aiyuk on the other working digs and comebacks, Deebo in the slot creating after the catch, and Breece Hall catching screens. That's an offense nitrogen monoxide 1 in the NFC East can cover consistently. And with Jayden distributing the ball with improved arm talent and decision-making, we could be a top 5 offense in the league, easy. Now let's talk money, because that matters. What would it really cost? Probably a 1-year prove-it deal with heavy incentives. Something like $8 to $10 million guaranteed, with bonuses that could push it to 15 if he hits production and games played benchmarks. That's not expensive for the potential upside, and the financial risk is limited to 1 season. If it works, we extend him long-term. If it doesn't, we move on with no major cap hit. Textbook low-risk, high-reward move. And honestly, fam, after how last season ended with all the issues we had, we need to take calculated risks. We can't play it ultra-safe, make conservative moves, and expect different results. Aiyuk is definitely a risk, no one's denying that. But it's the kind of risk-winning, aggressive teams take when they see a chance for a major upgrade. It's the kind of move that separates mediocre front offices from elite ones. All right, fam. There you have it. 3 massive stories, 3 potentially game-changing moves that could completely define our offseason and the immediate future of the franchise. Breece Hall to finally fix the run game and bring real balance to the offense. Quan Martin on the trade block, though I personally think we should give him another shot with better coaching. And Brandon Aiyuk, the emotional reunion with Jaden Daniels that could change everything if handled right. Listen, I know after last season's disaster, it's easy to be skeptical. Easy to say, we've heard this before, nothing real's gonna happen. But bro, Adam Peters ain't Dan Snyder. This front office is building something real with long-term vision. And if we land even 2 of these 3 moves we talked about today, we're in serious playoff conversation for 2026. Not just empty hope. So drop your full take in the comments. Would you sign Breece Hall at that price? Would you trade Quan Martin or give him another shot? Would you take a chance on Aiyuk despite the red flags? I want to hear exactly what you think. Fam, this community is the best part of the channel. And if you enjoyed today's deep dive, if you learned something new, or if you just vibed with the discussion, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and turn on that bell, because we're just getting started. We've got a full off season ahead with daily updates. And before you bounce, bro, if you want even more deep Commanders analysis, more daily news with this same level of detail, more hype and tactical breakdowns, check out the full playlist right here on the channel. We've got everything covered, from mock drafts to free agency predictions, from scheme breakdowns to culture analysis. Don't miss a thing. See you tomorrow with more news, fam. HTTR always.